92 years old and a net worth of almost $100 billion. He's a household name in the world of business and investing and one of the most successful investors of all time. Warren Buffett is the sixth wealthiest person on the planet. But how did he get there? Well, the success didn't happen overnight. In fact, his story starts off humbly, and it took him quite a bit of time to build up the reputation that he has today. This is the story of how a man went from selling newspapers and chewing gum to building an empire worth hundreds of billions of dollars. How much money did you have in your pocket when you were 16 years old? Warren Buffett was born in 1930 in Omaha, Nebraska, and it didn't take him long to start getting paid big bucks. As a young kid, Buffett took an interest in business and investing. When he was 7 years old, he borrowed a book from the library called 1,000 Ways to Make $1,000, and almost immediately he started applying the principles from that book into his own life. Throughout his early childhood, Buffett was hustling as an entrepreneur. "We don't break up packs of gum." This is what a young Warren Buffett told a woman who only wanted one stick of gum from the packs that Buffett sold as a kid. Buffett didn't play around when it came to his business, even at a young age. He was intelligent and knew how to make good business moves. And throughout his youth, Buffett started selling everything he could and went door to door with all kinds of things. And it wasn't just chewing gum. Do you remember your first job as a kid? For many of us, delivering newspapers was probably on that list. But Warren Buffett had a much different approach to making a living off newspapers. When Buffett was a teen, his father was elected to the U.S. House of Representatives. So the Oracle of Omaha, as he is now known, would pick up and move with his family from Nebraska to Washington, D.C. And when he arrived in D.C., Buffett got to work immediately. By the time he was 14 years old, Buffett had his own little paper route empire. He had 3 paper routes and earned $175 a month. He even had to file his first federal income tax return, having earned $592.50 in 1944. Back then things were a little different, and the IRS required anyone, even minors, to file a return if they made more than $500 in a year. And it didn't stop there. As Buffett got older, he continued to evolve his businesses. One man's trash is another man's treasure. As Buffett made money from his paper routes, he was already looking for other ways to increase his cash flow. And in 1946, Buffett bought a broken pinball machine for $25 and would go on and create what he has described as being his most successful business. Buffett had his friend Don Danley come in to fix the machine and brought him in on his business. With a fixed machine, Buffett went to pitch an offer to a barber in the area, Frank Errico. The deal was to put the machine in the back of the barbershop so people waiting for their cut could have something to do while they wait. Errico loved the idea, and it was a hit. Errico would split the profit with Buffett and Danley 50-50, and after the first week, the pinball machine made Buffett and Danley enough money to buy another one. And they did exactly that. Soon enough, Buffett built a pinball machine empire and had machines operating in barbershops all over D.C. He sold the business for over $1,000 in the same year, where he started it with just $25. With such a strong drive to be an entrepreneur at a young age, Buffett made some pretty serious cash. By the time he was 16, a young Buffett already had today's equivalent of $53,000 to his name. Sometimes our ambitions can blind us from what we really need to be doing. As Buffett moved on from his adolescent years, his ambitions grew. He was so business-driven that he didn't even want to go to college. But after being pressured by his father, he enrolled at the Wharton School of the University of Pennsylvania in 1947. Over the next couple of years, he continued progressing with his education. Mixed in there was a graduation from the University of Nebraska with a Bachelor of Science in Business Administration. He also got rejected from Harvard Business School, but took it in stride. Imagine that. Warren Buffett, the renowned business mogul we all know and love today, rejected from a business school. Sure, it's Harvard, but it really makes you wonder, huh? But he would then go on to enroll at Columbia University because of his fondness for one of the professors there, Benjamin Graham. Graham is widely regarded as the father of value investing and would serve as a mentor to Buffett. And in 1951, Buffett had his Master of Science in Economics from Columbia. Did you make the most of your years at college or graduate school? Warren Buffett sure did. After graduating from Columbia in 1951, Buffett learned that his old professor, Benjamin Graham, sat on the board of Geico Insurance. Graham was instrumental in shaping the powerful investor we all know Buffett to be today, and his role in Geico caught a young Buffett's attention. So much so that Buffett took a train to Geico's headquarters on a Saturday morning to learn more about the company. While the office was closed, Buffett caught a break and was directed by a janitor to the vice president of the company, Lorimer Davidson. The two had an informal meeting and Buffett was sold. He bought his first purchase of Geico stock. More importantly, the two developed a lifelong relationship, and Davidson would go on to have a lasting influence on Buffett. If at first you don't succeed, try and try again. For years, Warren Buffett had been brushed off by Benjamin Graham. Graham urged Buffett to not work on Wall Street and rejected Buffett's offer to work for Graham for free. But finally, in 1954, Buffett got a job at Graham's partnership for $12,000 a year, or roughly $121,000 today. Graham was a tough boss, but Buffett learned what he needed to continue his progression in the business world. From selling newspapers, pinball machines, and chewing gum as a kid to working his way up the business ladder in his 20s, Warren Buffett was developing a very successful career. By 1962, Buffett was a millionaire through his partnerships. With that money, Buffett started buying shares of a textile manufacturing firm known as Berkshire Hathaway. Buffett's partnerships started to aggressively purchase shares of Berkshire throughout the 1960s, and Buffett eventually took control of the company. By 1970, Buffett began writing his now famous annual letters to shareholders of Berkshire. New Year's Day, 1977, Warren Buffett and his good friend and business partner at Berkshire, Charlie Munger, put in an offer to buy the Buffalo Evening News for $30 million. After some negotiation, an agreement was reached. The paper was sold for $32.5 million to Berkshire. And at the time, this deal accounted for about 25% of the net worth of Berkshire Hathaway. Quite a long way from the hundreds of dollars Buffett was making on his paper route years prior. As years passed, Berkshire grew enormously. With Buffett at the helm, Berkshire would purchase stocks in all sorts of companies such as ABC, Coca-Cola, Wells Fargo, and just about anything you can think of. Recent years have seen Berkshire tackle the tech industry as well, something Buffett used to adamantly be against because he always preferred investing in things he understood. But at the end of the day, Buffett has and always will understand one thing: the bottom line. So under his leadership, Berkshire invested in the tech giant Apple and the highly successful web domain leader VeriSign. As of 2022, Berkshire Hathaway has a market capitalization of $653.27 billion. While Buffett may argue that his pinball machine business was his most successful, it appears that his time at Berkshire has been just a little more lucrative. Warren Buffett has reached a level of success in his lifetime that many would think impossible. It's hard to believe that a young boy who was once hustling in the streets of his hometown in Nebraska would go on to do the things he did. And amazingly, he is still doing it today. At 92 years old, the same Buffett that was selling pinball machines to barbers is now making investments worth billions. His story is unique and should serve as inspiration to anyone thinking they can't make it. With his ambition and drive for success, Warren Buffett is still leaving his mark in the business world with an already mind-blowing legacy. He was born a businessman, and he is going to leave this world as a businessman, and a very successful one at that.